Hey, it's Damon Clark from PI Hacks. So if you're watching this, you've been asked to complete a behavioral assessment by the Predictive Index as part of your interview. First of all, take a breath. Because here's the most important thing you need to know up front. You can't pass, it's not a test. There's no right or wrong answers. If you try and beat it, you're simply not beating the system, you're beating yourself. I've seen this hundreds of times. Someone answers the assessment based on what they think the company wants. They get the job, and about 3 months later, when the adrenaline wears off, they're miserable and they leave. It's not because they're bad at the job, it's because the job is bad for them. So let's start with what the Predictive Index actually is and what it isn't. Predictive Index is a behavioral assessment, not a personality test. It's not a skills test. It's measuring how you're naturally wired to behave at work. So things like how assertive you are, how much structure you prefer, how you influence people, how you handle pace and urgency. It looks at 4 core behavioral drives called dominance, extroversion, patience, and formality. We call them the ABCDs. I've got a link below in the description if you want to find out more about them. Anyway, those factors combine and produce a reference profile, such as a maverick, captain, altruist, scholar, etc. That profile is essentially an instruction manual for how you prefer to work and what you're best at behaviorally. Companies don't use PI to eliminate people. They use it to reduce guesswork, avoid hires that don't quite fit in that job. And when it's done well, people are set up to succeed and flourish and basically be happier in the workplace. And it's important to remember you can be off benchmark and still get the job. You can actually be quite misaligned for a job and companies will still take you forward. At least they're not going to have any surprises as you get into the job and they realize you're not as detailed as they'd like them to be. So it's not about if you're not a fit, you're not going to get a job. It's just understanding the misalignment and how extreme that misalignment is. If it's like putting a left-hand person in a right-hand person's job, that's going to be tough for everyone. But if it's slightly out, that's okay. So what PI does highlight is where the work your natural hard wiring excels at. So organizations can support you intentionally. This ties directly to the head-heart briefcase model we talk about a lot. So the briefcase being experience and skills, head being your behavioral and cognitive, and heart being kind of value and culture fit. I've got a whole art video on that in the description. Check it out. So it may be, for instance, you're misaligned behaviorally, but you're great culture fit, and you've got a great resume and experience and skills. And so they may move forward with you. So PI is just one part of the hiring decision, and it's just a data set. So rule number 1 is answer the assessment honestly, not how you want it to be, not how you think the role needs you to be, but how you actually behave, especially on a tough Monday. Because the output of that assessment is what your future manager will use to support you. If the data's wrong, they're going to support you wrong. So how do you stand out to be a good fit? So here's some kind of top tips. First of all, ask for your behavioral report. If your organization shares your behavioral report automatically, then great. If not, don't be scared to ask for it. They can only say no. This alone is going to put you ahead of most candidates. Read it, learn it, understand your strengths and how to kind of bring up your strengths, and also understand your caution areas. Really digest them, understand them, and think about coping mechanisms. If you're not sure what your profile means and you want a bit more detail, check out the links below. I've got a video on every single reference profile. Okay, number 2, translate your strengths into job relevant examples. Don't just say, this is my profile. Show how it turns up at work. So for example, if you're an altruist, one of my strengths is being organized with strong follow through. In a previous role, that meant I was often asked to be a note taker in department leadership meetings, making sure decisions were captured and actions didn't fall through the cracks. That's a great way of using one of your profile strengths. So that's the shift. So it's profile, behavior, and then business impact. Think of it like that. Think about your profile and those strengths, the behavior and the business impact. So number 3, own your caution areas. This is where you're going to really shine. Every PI profile is going to have 3 or 4 caution areas, or sometimes we call this back of the t-shirt stuff. You may not be so aware of it. And strong candidates don't hide from them. So ask yourself, where might this role stretch me? What situations could it drain energy? And how have I handled that before? So it's important to be honest and transparent about those caution areas and think how they show up, think about the impact, and think about how you can stay on top of them. So, for an example, if you're an altruist, you may be seen as overly cautious in fast-moving or highly ambiguous environments. That's one of their caution areas. So this is how you own it. In one role, I recognized that I intentionally partnered with someone future-focused and decisive. I asked him to challenge my thinking when speed mattered. That shows awareness, maturity, coachability, and hiring managers love it. Okay, number 4, ask about the interviewing team's profiles. And this is an absolute pro move, and it's going to kind of just give you such a leg up. Ask whether they're willing to share their behavioral profiles off the interviewing team. Why? Because communication matters. If you're interviewing with a captain, you're going to want to stay high level and outcome focused. If you're interviewing with a collaborator, you're going to lean into a relationship. If it's an analyzer, you're going to be structured and logical. This isn't manipulation, it's adaptive communication. And this is what PI does so well. It gives you a code to unlock perfect communication. So ask to see the profiles of the people you're interviewing with. Okay, number 5, ask for a relationship guide. So Predictive Index produces a relationship guide between 2 profiles, and the employer should have access to that. So ask for a relationship guide with the manager, and it's going to give you some strengths and it's going to give you some cautions and tips to have a really good conversation. That's going to be absolutely key. So not only is it going to help you in the interview, it's going to help you understand how you're going to work with this person if you move forward with a job. Okay, number 6, go deeper into PI. And this is really going to show. So if you want to go next level, take a deeper dive into PI itself. Learn the 4 factors, the ABCDs. Learn the factor combinations. This is how the ABCDs talk to each other. There are 6 of them. For example, how dominance and patience talk to each other, tell us about how you take action. Are you proactive or reactive? Learn about them. I've got videos in the links below. Learn them and they're going to love it, because quite likely the company's a very predictive index focused company and they're going to understand that language. Okay, number 7. This really is kind of next level, and it may even be above the person interviewing you. But ask about predictive index design and job insights. If your organization uses the predictive index design module, and not all of them do, ask whether you can share the team's design, layout, and objectives. So design is the behavioral strengths of the team as a collective and how they map to the work they're doing. And it's a visual chart. This allows you to speak directly to how you're going to complement or balance out that team. You can also ask politely whether they use job insights. They may say no, but if they say yes, they'll be able to spot potential misalignment early and talk you through how they manage it. Okay, so Predictive Index isn't about getting hired at all costs. It's about finding work that you'll actually enjoy and succeed in. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully there's some tips here. Put some questions below. The good news, if the organization you're interviewing for is using Predictive Index, they're usually a people-first company, and that's really good news. So good luck. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know how you got on. Thanks a lot.